everyone, happy Monday. It's your boy Kevin Thornton. You have tuned in to the world famous Wellness Architect show with my lovely co-host, Lotus Boucher. She is back, everybody. She's been gone for 2 weeks. The first week she was under the weather, and the next week she was practicing some self-care and she went out of town. So she's back, ready to go. Before I throw it to her, I just want to say thank you for all the support and all the shares of the videos we've been receiving, the text messages I've been receiving, especially when it came down to the men's roundtable discussions. You guys have been very, adamant and very vocal about what all we've been talking about, and I'm truly grateful for that. So, without further ado, I'm gonna throw it to my co-host. She's been gone for 2 weeks. Welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, I'm happy to be back. Good to see you.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be back with you here today. And yes, like Kevin said, I had to get some self care. And that is our word for the evening. That's our power word, self care. The word self, when I say the word self, I want you to think about what comes to mind immediately for you. And that should be you. You should be in the mirror looking right at yourself, looking right into the window of your soul, which are your eyes. Looking into yourself, seeing what areas in your life that need some extra special attention. Sometimes we don't give ourselves that extra special attention because we're always working or we're always caring for others, or sometimes we're working hard and playing hard. And sometimes we forget to rest or even just stop and take a moment to do a little self care. Now, self care can mean that you're sitting silently doing some self meditation, or it can mean that you're sitting reading a book, something that you enjoy. You might even go to a movie for some relaxation or taking a good, nutritious meal. That can also be your self care. Another thing that people do is oftentimes they will pray, which is somewhat different from meditation, but this is a prayer that they may do throughout the day. Uh, Another thing that people do for self-care, especially many men and women, I saw some men at the spa this weekend getting their pedicures
Mm-hmm.
and getting their manicures. And I got to tell you, when you do self-care, it totally puts you in a different frame of mind. It is relaxing, it is soothing, and oftentimes it gives your body the opportunity to rebound. And so tonight, I've talked about what we can do with self care, but we've got a super bonus tonight. The super bonus is this phenomenal lady that we have with us tonight. She is going to knock your socks off because she's going to tell you more about one, how to care for yourself, how to care for others. But the primary thing is awareness, and she's going to share some awareness with us. So I want to introduce you to the phenomenal woman, Lynne Herod-Deverges. Hey, Lynne, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good to see you.
You too, you too. That introduction, I hope I can actually live up to that. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome, and it's true.
Yes, so just to give a little background about myself, I actually am a spiritual mentor who also became an ordained minister in the Essene way of doing things. The Essenes, by the way, are the ones who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls and, as I say, wrote the Lord's Prayer. Jesus made it
Yes.
popular, but the
Yes.
years before Jesus was born. And through my studies and through the years, it has involved things that many people have heard of. Maybe not everyone's aware of it, but the quantum physics and metaphysics,
Yes.
and definitely as a way to, as you say, care for yourself.
Yes.
And I really did not choose this path; it was chosen for me
Mm-hmm.
as I had an experience when I was 14, and I actually had a type of visitation, if you will, and I had to promise that I was going to do this work without even
Yes.
knowing what it was about. But as life takes us through challenging circumstances and all sorts of things, I finally moved into really assisting people in what I call transforming their lives,
Hmm.
and to help people transform from hatred into love,
Hmm.
from
Yes.
fear into love, from blame into forgiveness, from uh, guilt and grief into joy.
Hmm.
So, able to do those things, it does require a lot of what you were saying, which is self
Yes.
care.
Hmm.
That is absolutely number one. Must have self care. And everything that you said is indeed different ways that people have self care. That can also include exercise,
Hmm.
as you
Yes.
said, the way that one eats, the way they take care of themselves emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. So
Yes.
it's the entire package. It is truly holistic health in the way of self care. So that's what I've been doing for quite a while. I love it. I have a passion for it, as you can tell.
Hmm.
And I continue to expand and do a lot of self care on me so that I'm able
Yes.
to really help others. Yes.
Exactly.
Mm.
And let me say I thank you for telling the folks a bit about you, because I want people to really get the gist of who you are, not just, okay, she does this, but this is you're ordained in this. You had to get on this track without even knowing what the assignment was going to entail.
That's
You were
right.
given an assignment
Yeah.
and you were like, okay, Lord, I'll go. I didn't say send me, but I'll go.
Right, right, exactly. In fact, I was very reluctant. I call myself the resistant person because it was as if I was hounded. You have to promise this. Well, I'll think about it. No, you need to promise right now. Well, I don't know what it is. I can't promise to it. You need to promise. Oftentimes we are asked to stand up. We're not
Yes.
told maybe what direction to walk in or what else
Hmm.
to do, but we're told to stand up. And so
Right.
you stand up. And when you do that, you're given the next direction that you're to take.
Exactly, exactly. And sometimes it can be a little bit frightening,
Yes.
stepping into the unknown, but
Hmm.
also because you're being harnessed with some things that when they come to you, sometimes you have to ask yourself, or sometimes you ask yourself, God, am I really ready for all this? Because I
Yeah.
know Kevin and I, we talk about this all the time, being life coaches. Um, we see and we meet so many people,
Hmm.
and I would venture to ask Kevin. Kevin, what are your thoughts? Lynn just got this assignment and walked in it. What about you?
Um, I understand that. It was. I think coaching was always part of who I am, and holistic health was part of who I am. I was telling Lynn before we got started, I was introduced to holistic health and metaphysics at 18.
Yes,
At 18, so it was like at that time he was grooming me for where I'm going to, and
yes.
I should have been doing this longer than what I have,
Uh
but
huh.
I like Lynn, I kind of resisted it because I didn't know fully what it was and what I was supposed to do with this. And so
Yes.
then once I got coached, it came clear to me what I was supposed to do. So I truly understand what she was talking about.
Yeah, and it's funny because our stories are like mirror images, because we were all like the reluctant ones, like, okay, I don't want to go, but I guess I'll go. And then we move in and move into our calling.
Uh huh.
And that's magnificent, because there are people out there that need to hear the message. So having said that, Lynn, I got to tell you, I've traveled all over, and Japan was a part of one of the places that I lived for a duration. And I think it was in Japan where I really realized, you know what, you need to really step into it. But still, I was reluctant. But one thing I did enjoy when I was in Japan was the good food and the good quality of uh, just medicinal things that they would give to help heal the body. And I know that you have a part of your practice that you do. It's geared in holistic healing, and I think you deal with a company out of Japan. Is that right?
That's true.
Can you share some of that with us? Tell us about that.
I will. Actually, what I have been doing for many years is teaching people about energy and teaching people how to change their way of thinking, feeling, um, doing. And that includes not only the emotional, mental, and spiritual, but the physical as well.
Yes.
So I was introduced to this company a couple of years ago from my cousin, who's actually Japanese.
Uh-huh.
And
Awesome.
the company is what resonated for me is
Mm-hmm.
they have very, very dynamic products, antioxidants in particular, that I found are just so powerful. In fact, in some countries, they are considered medicinal. Of course, in the
Right.
United States, they're not, they are supplements.
Right. Uh-huh.
But the company, what part of what resonated for me is that their motto is live with integrity. And I have seen that in every way possible. With the company, there's so much support, it's incredible. With the products, they are the number one sellers throughout the world in their categories.
Right.
And also, there's a financial or business aspect to it as well. So the Japanese, as we know, believe in quality no matter what they do.
Exactly.
They take whatever it is, I don't care if it's a toothpick, and they are going to
Yep.
make it better. And
Exactly.
they do the same thing with supplements. And when I was doing some research, I found out I believe Japan is number one or number two. Honestly, I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember. I was also surprised with this other country, but number one or two in the world when it comes to high quality products in the nutritional field. And so I knew that this was something very special that they had. And then once I tried them, I picked up the phone and I called my girlfriends because I had floaters in my eyes. I don't
Uh-huh.
know, some people may know
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like,
I know what they are. Yeah.
and I
Well,
started.
let's before you go forward, because some people don't know, and that's a good point that you made. Can you explain a little bit about what floaters are? And those of you that are on with us, thank you so much for being here. If you like what Lynne is saying, go ahead and put a one in the comments down below. And Lynne is going to tell us about what floaters are.
Okay. So floaters are spots. In my case, it was more like little lines that actually develop in the eye as people get older. They appear in the white part of the eye, and it's where there's like a calcium buildup.
Right.
Okay, so it gets a little hard, and it creates these spots that no matter where you look, it always shows up. And so mine were so severe, I thought I was going blind because I
Uh-huh.
had never heard of it before.
So do the floaters move in your eye? Like, okay, my eyes are closed and I
Mm,
see these squiggly little lines, like things that almost look like amoebas moving around. Is that floaters?
It's yes, it is. That's floaters, and
Oh my God, I done told my age.
well, I mean, it's happened to people who are 45 and up. So I don't consider 45. Actually, I don't. That's another story. I won't go into that. But I was gonna say I consider 65 just middle age.
Uh-huh.
But
Yes.
it is when there's bright light though,
Right.
you'll really be able to see the floaters more prominently, and
Right.
it's more annoying than anything else.
Right.
And So I had so many floaters, like I said, like little squiggly lines. It was
Right.
almost like looking through a spider web, kind of like this.
Right.
And so I heard about this company and the products.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin had been trying to introduce it to me for a long time, and I kept saying, "Girl, no, I don't have time for that." And then, and then finally, my aunt, who's her mother-in-law, tricked me and said, "Oh, I'm inviting the whole family to a meeting." Now, she's one of the matriarchs in the family, and when
Huh?
she said she's inviting the whole family for a family meeting, it's like, okay, what's going on? How's she doing?
Yeah, you know it's something going on.
Something's going on. Yes, and what was going on was the introduction of these products.
Awesome.
I knew as soon as I saw them that they were the right ones for me. And after taking the one product, this one here, Super Lutein,
Huh?
after 2 weeks, my floaters completely went away.
Wow.
Eye doctor
Wow.
did tell me, he said, you need to take some type of supplements. I said, well, what do I need to take? I
Uh-huh.
had to an ophthalmologist
Uh-huh.
just before I saw them. And he said, I don't know. He said, just try different supplements. And I'm like, well, you're not any help. So, and at that time, I wasn't really taking anything. And I did start taking the super lutein and found
Right.
again within 2 weeks, I didn't have the floaters anymore.
Uh-huh.
I'm so excited. I started calling my friends and my family members. You will not believe this, but, and I was telling the story.
Uh-huh.
And before I knew it, everyone I knew was like, well, where can I get it? Where can I buy it? What store is it in? And I said, well,
Yes.
I think you can get it through me, but I don't know. I'll get back to you. They're like, girl, get back to me today. So they are very dynamic, very, very dynamic. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to ask Kevin this because I think it's important that we know from Kevin as well because Kevin is the wellness architect. So Kevin, are you familiar with floaters? Have you experienced that in your personal experience?
I have.
You
I have.
have
I have.
45,
I'm 40.
45.
Yeah, that's exactly. I have, and so that's interesting to me. That she has something like that that could help with that.
Uh-huh.
So what exactly is in the super lutein that you taking?
Yes, well, actually, super lutein, there are two products they have, both of which contain the same ingredients, but one has just one additional ingredient. But the super lutein has in it what's called carotenoids. This is
Right.
actually a phytonutrient
Hmm.
and a little bit different from vitamins or minerals, but carotenoids actually is something our bodies need,
Hmm.
but we do not produce them ourselves. So we have to get them from fruits and vegetables.
Hmm.
Right.
It's what makes the pigmentation of the fruits and vegetables, like oranges. I mean, yeah, oranges are orange, carrots are orange, eggplant purple, broccoli is green. This is These are the carotenoids.
Okay.
And the carotenoids for fruits and vegetables help protect them from harsh environments.
Mm-hmm.
As they're growing, there's a lot of air pollution and water pollution
Right.
and various things with the soil. So the carotenoids help them to survive from the insects and everything else. And
Right.
our bodies have to have it to survive. So
Right.
in super lutein, there are five carotenoids. And I think people have heard of some of them: alpha carotene, for
Hmm.
Yes.
example, beta
Mm-hmm.
carotene,
Mm-hmm.
um, lycopene,
Hmm.
Lycopene.
of course, lutein,
Mm-hmm.
and zeaxanthin.
Right.
And in this particular formula, the this company, by the way, Naturally Plus, they created the super lutein as their very first product for eye care because lutein and zeaxanthin together help with eye care significantly. And then what they discovered is that because of the other carotenoids,
Mm-hmm.
and they added fish oil, which is part of your omega 3,
Right.
um, bilberry extract, which is a very powerful antioxidant, as well as vitamin B complex.
Mhm.
And so in this formula, they found that it was helping people all the way around
Right.
to benefit their health.
Hmm.
And there are many testimonies, of course, that people give. The reality is, with these supplements, they don't heal and they don't cure and they don't diagnose. What they actually do is help to neutralize and also to eliminate free radicals.
Mhm.
And free radicals is what's called, is what, where we get oxidation from.
Right.
So I'm going to just take you a little bit into the science. A
Okay.
free radical is an imbalance between protons and electrons. You need to have a perfect balance of both
Right.
to have healthy cells. We
Right.
have trillions of cells in our body, and they all, at the DNA level, have protons and electrons.
Right.
When they're out of balance, then our bodies start to develop an oxidation effect.
Mhm.
Think of it as putting nails into water and letting it sit for a couple of weeks. That
Right.
water is going to start to rust, right?
Right.
Because
Uh-huh.
nails get rusty. Well, that's the oxidation process.
Right.
And that's what happens in our bodies as well. And that the free radicals and the imbalance of the protons and electrons come from ultraviolet light, too much sun. It also comes from blue light from our, computers and phones and televisions. It comes from smoking, medications,
Mhm.
air pollution, and also, unfortunately, one of the things I like, which is wine or
Hmm.
alcohol. So every time I have a glass of wine, I pop a couple of these
Right. Awesome.
because it helps to counteract the effects and condition of the free radicals.
Right.
And free radicals and oxidation is what causes literally almost all types of diseases. I mean,
So,
everything.
you bring me to one question that we have for you.
Hmm.
But before I go there, I wanted to ask Kevin, because Kevin, he is, like I said, he's a wellness architect, and he has clients that he takes through a health and wellness process. And I know typically one of the first things he uses is, I was looking for my book, but it's called Eat for Your Blood Type. Is that
Hmm.
right, Kevin?
Yep.
And he
Eat right for your
builds,
blood type.
right, and he builds his stratagem around that to make sure that he's given them a great foundation. So, Kevin, with what she was saying, I know you talk about the nutrients and minerals that we need to get in our bodies as well.
Hmm.
So, is that something you kind of talk to your clients about, Kevin, as far as making sure they're taking supplements that help eradicate free radicals?
I do. I do. And it's so funny because once you become a health coach or a wellness coach, all different companies come at you
Yes.
all the time asking you to sell or to be a brand ambassador of a certain product. And
Yes.
I never have really seen anything that has been like in full alignment with me. But listen to what she has. Yeah, but listen to what she has, because a lot of times you have to put supplements along with the nutrition because sometimes
Right.
you're not gonna get it all. So
Right.
my goal is to try to find a good supplement that I can recommend to my clients
Mm.
that it could be in alignment to what I'm doing with them nutritionally, but also help them with what they may be missing with supplements.
Yeah.
And
And one thing I wanted to add too is that what I love that Kevin does is he crafts his process and let people know, hey, this isn't a fad, but this is a way of life.
Way of life,
And that's
yes.
what I think I'm hearing from you as well, Lynn, that
yeah,
this is a way of life.
it is a way of life. In fact, just even going back to what you were talking about in the very beginning, self care is a way of life.
Hmm.
in many ways, even when we think of spirituality, it's not like, oh, I'm spiritual on Sunday or
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. It's a way of life. It's the
Mm-hmm.
way that you show up in life.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin, I'm so glad to hear that you work with people to give them that foundation, because what you put into your body being your temple,
Mm-hmm.
is
Yes.
also how you're able to assist within the holistic approach, because our emotions and our thoughts actually also become lodged within the physical cells of our body.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so when we are putting the right foods into our body, when we are caring for ourselves in that way, and that does include supplements, then we're able to have a much more positive way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to, we still experience various emotions, but they don't have to run as deep or stop us in our tracks.
Right.
Right.
We're able to move through it because we're able to have a different approach, to
Absolutely.
these.
Exactly. So
And
I wanted to take a moment, if I may, Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of acknowledge the folks that are on here with us, because I had a lady out of North Carolina contact me today about her health and wellness. And in fact, I told her that the miraculous Lynne Herod-Deverges was going to be with us tonight. So she's having some problems with her AC1, I believe, and a couple of other concerns. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that you have other products like water. And
yes,
I know when Kevin deals with his clients, he tells them hydrate,
Hydrate.
hydrate,
Hydrate.
hydrate.
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
So, can you tell us also a little bit about the hydration process, what type of process it is, and
Mhm.
how great it is? Because I already know, and I know, like you said, the Japanese are phenomenal, and some of the products you have, I saw when I was in overseas,
Yes.
okay? And I know that they work. So, can you
Hmm.
tell us a little bit about the hydration process? And Kevin, I wanted to ask this too before Lynn goes into that. Why is it so important for people to hydrate?
Because our body is made up of 80% of water, and a lot of times with us, most of us suffer from chronic dehydration
Right,
because we don't drink enough water.
right.
So therefore, it's really important for us to hydrate because when we are chronic dehydration, then that also affects us using the bathroom. So then therefore become constipated as well because we're not getting enough water in. So it all plays hand to hand.
Hmm.
And could that affect our immune system?
Yes,
Hmm.
ma'am.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay. So Lynn, the floor is yours. Tell us about the wow.
Okay, so Naturally Plus in the United States has, as I said, three products. Both are antioxidant products, which I just explained the primary ingredients. The other one is called Azumio. This is hydrogenized water. It is an antioxidant that hydrates the body 3.5 times more than regular water. And I'm sure when
Whoa,
you,
whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Did
huh?
you say 3.5 times?
More than regular water.
Wow.
Why. I'll explain why. And I'm sure you've seen, if not this particular water, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of hydrogenized water in Japan. They sell it
Yes.
at 7-Eleven and everywhere over.
Yeah.
It's been around so long.
Yes. Yes.
So the Azumio has two ingredients, and that is filtered, purified spring water, natural spring water,
Mm-hmm.
and hydrogen gas. And the hydrogen gas is actually an antioxidant. So, what Naturally Plus has done is they take this natural spring water, they completely filter everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Then they take out additional oxygen. What most people don't know is we know water is H2O, excuse me, but there is additional oxygen. H2O is like its own molecule, and there's additional oxygen in H2O. So they pull the oxygen out and they add additional hydrogen gas.
Right.
And the hydrogen gas literally goes into the DNA of every single cell in your body. It's carried into your body by the water.
Yes.
And just so you know, the water is a pH balanced perfect 7,
Mm-hmm.
which the water in our body is perfectly balanced at pH 7.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, the hydrogen's able to seek out what I call its dance partner. It's looking for
Yes.
a free radical. Hey,
Uh-huh.
let's
Yeah.
get together. And when it does, when you have that oxidation,
Mm-hmm.
get together with the hydrogen, which is an H2,
Right.
H2O makes water. And
Mm.
that's how it hydrates the body 3.5 times more.
Wow.
Then, after a period of time, for some people sooner than others, you either urinate it out or you perspire it out, and goes all the toxins and everything with it. So that's how it actually neutralizes the oxidation. Remember, imbalance of protons and electrons.
Yes.
Hydrogen gas has one proton and one electron. So when it goes into the cell of the body and it finds its perfect partner, it says, "Oh, I see you're missing an electron. Here, take
Yes.
mine. Oh, I see you need a proton. Take
Mm-hmm.
mine." And that's how it actually neutralizes
Mm-hmm.
the free radicals that causes the oxidation. And then the body is flushed of a lot of the toxins. Kevin is so right. People are very dehydrated now because they don't drink enough water. But there's also another reason. Not everyone, no matter how much water they drink, not everyone's cellular structure, because of a
Right.
lot of the oxidation and the free radicals and other stuff, the water can't even get into the cells.
Right.
Okay.
Penetrate the
There
cell.
can be dehydration for that reason
Right.
also. And the azumio goes straight to the DNA and starts working, which is why it can go into all the cells and help hydrate.
Quick
Right.
question. So how
Uh-huh.
many? So you just recommend them drinking just one of those a day?
Just one, all you need is one pouch a day, because remember, it's a supplement
Mm-hmm.
and it would work for an entire 24-hour period. So I don't necessarily say to people that you need to exchange this for water that you would drink throughout the day. Choose a really good water, one that you may recommend, Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
for people to still drink throughout the day.
Right.
But will, because it neutralizes and clears the free radicals so well, even even after they're hydrated with this water, they're going to need other water throughout the day. But now the cells can absorb the water that they're drinking
Right.
much more. So it keeps the body hydrated. Now, I'll tell you the truth. The taste of this is so fresh and so incredibly clean that I call it exquisite water, because when I drink it, it feels so exquisite just going through my body. So I drink 3 or 4 of these a day, not not only for the hydrogen, because really all you need is one pouch to take care of it. Unless you do have some kind of a illness or condition,
Mm-hmm.
then drinking 2 or 3 a day does significantly help.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the taste of the water. So I make sure my water of choice that I drink is the Azumio hydrogenized water.
Okay.
It does help reduce inflammation. And there has been years of research with the science. It reduces inflammation from autoimmune diseases like arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
I actually seen with my own eyes, at least those people I've known who have been on chemo from cancer, they don't have side effects as a result. I've seen it assist in many ways with the body, with diabetics, and helping to reduce A1C, because the hydrogen blocks excess sugar from
Mm-hmm.
Right.
going into the pancreas wall. And so that reduces the blood sugar that gets into the system.
Right.
um, and the scientists have for 2 years been giving this Azumio water to a village in Japan where they have the highest number of elderly people. And what they have found and have concluded, and all of this is written in medical journals, they found and concluded that the Azumio really does assist in preventing dementia, or if
Wow.
you have the onset of dementia, it slows it down.
Hmm.
And for those who have dementia, regardless of their stage, it helps to reduce the symptoms. I'm not going to say get rid of dementia. It just, but I have actually witnessed some of those things myself. But again, it's about the body being able to heal itself,
Right.
because our bodies are incredible machines, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have assistance by not having all of this oxidation due to free radicals, then our bodies can start doing its job. And so
Niece,
that's
can you
why
call
this is
Miss
so,
Peterkin
so great.
and tell her to get online?
Have you heard of the miracle waters, or they call it miracle or healing waters in France?
Yes.
Um, yes, okay,
Mhm.
and there's one in Germany, I think Honduras,
Yes.
Mexico, various places. Well, what Dr. Oda, a Japanese scientist, discovered many years ago is that the reason they've had such benefits for people and they've been called healing waters is
Yes.
because they're all natural spring water that is filled with
Right.
hydrogen gas. And so Naturally Plus has found a way to replicate that,
Hmm.
except Lumio has 4,700 times more hydrogen per um, water to water in this one package, more than Lord's France. And Lord's France has the highest concentration.
Wow. That's
So
Wow.
it's
awesome.
really potent, and it's I love it. Yeah, most people do. Most people do. Even little kids. Kids hate drinking water.
Yeah.
But I can say that, the various people that I know that have been taking this water that have young children, they ask for it in their lunch boxes because it
Yes.
helps focus.
Wow. So I really appreciate you sharing that information with us because so many people nowadays, like Kevin said, they're very dehydrated. Their nutrition is out of whack, and we have to have something where we can help people and say, we're not saying that this is a cure, but we're saying that it will definitely help you. And I like what you said earlier about your personal knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one reason why I was so delighted when you agreed to come on the show because Kevin and I try, well, we don't try, we work really hard to make sure we have people who are very well learned in their field. And if there is a product that's going to help us in our wellness, in our health, in our being, we try to make sure we introduce that product to the person so that they can make an educated decision. And I got to tell you, you know your stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
love how you were able to break it down to a cellular level because I think Kevin and I talked about this before,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of times people drink a lot of water, but because the water doesn't even break the cellular wall, it doesn't hydrate them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, Kevin has, he's the king of spin. He's a spin doctor. He
Mm-hmm.
trains people in spinning. And I wonder, Kevin, if you have ever had anybody in your spin training classes where they were dehydrated. And if so, what did you use to help them restore themselves?
Um, I never had that issue.
Hmm.
But a lot of times, I think the quick thing people always want to give people is like Gatorade or something like that. I tend
Right.
to give people coconut water
Yeah.
as the way to hydrate because coconut water also helps give you the electrolyte that you need.
Yes.
But it doesn't have all the sugar
Yep.
that
Yep.
Gatorade and Powerade has.
Yes. And you are spot on because I've been in the store and I'm like, oh, Gator, oh no, no,
Yeah.
because it does have so much sugar, and you thinking that you're doing a good thing because it's saying, it's to get you hydrated and stuff like that. But really, sometimes it's worse for you, especially for people that have diabetes and stuff like that. They
Right.
really have to be careful about what they put in their bodies.
Right.
Hmm.
And I heard, and I don't know if you heard this, Kevin, but I heard Lynn say that if she has a glass of wine, sometimes she'll go to her other products and
Yeah.
take one or two of those. So, can you tell us about that? Because that sounds like to me that it doesn't clash if you have a little wine or champagne or something. So
No, no,
how
it
does that
doesn't.
work?
It doesn't clash at all. In fact, all of the products, but particularly the Azumio hydrogenized water,
Hmm.
does not interfere with anything that a person does. No
Right,
medications, no nothing. It does not interfere. It simply neutralizes the free radicals.
right,
And by doing that, when I'm drinking wine, and I like to have a glass every day or every now and then, champagne's my real drink of choice,
uh-huh.
then I just make sure that I drink the Azumio. First of all, when you're drinking alcohol, you've got to be hydrated. And
Right,
because it does hydrate you 3 times more, I drink one usually before I have a glass of wine and I drink after. Um, but if I'm out with some friends and having more than one glass, then I will also take one of the super lutein,
right.
and it just adds that additional boost. And these are all bioavailable. And
Hmm.
bioavailable means that they're not digested, they're absorbed directly into the tissue. So they're not going to interfere or mix with whatever you've ingested.
Okay,
Wow.
fantastic. So, wow, that's powerful. If I may, I just want to say hi to Robert J. Moore. Thank you for joining us. Simone Rose out of Toronto, Canada. Robert out of Canada. Angela out of DC. And a host of other folks that are coming in. Dr. Sandra Brooks out of South Carolina. And Latasha Rose out of Houston, Texas. I want to thank all of you for being with us. And some of you I cannot see, so forgive me if I don't call your name, but we're delighted that you're here. And we have the magnificent Miss Lynne Herod-Deverges. Just want to make sure you see this name. And she's sharing with us about the criticality of making sure that we eat right so that we can have a healthy life, but also to understand the supplements that can help us do that. And right down to the nitty gritty of water.
Mhm.
And water, a lot of times people don't realize that water is a critical part of your body because Kevin said, what is our body made up of, Kevin? How much water?
80%.
80% water. So, Kevin, if the person isn't getting enough water in their system, we talked about, it can cause them illness.
Yeah.
What else could it cause if they're not getting enough water?
It's the first it's gonna be dehydration, and the dehydration goes into constipation, and
Yes.
then the constipation that that plays a part in your gut issues as well, and
Oh, wow.
so you know it plays a big part because you need the water to help flush everything out your system.
Right.
And I know everybody say they don't like the taste of water; they don't have no taste to it. But if you put um, some lemons or
Yes.
a key lime in
Mm-hmm.
there, then that'll give you a little taste that you need. But
Yes.
I think I want to talk. I could use this to transition to the metaphysics part of what she does. Is
Yes.
that what we have to do is change our mindset about
Yes.
everything. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
how it tastes. It's about what it's going to do for me.
Mhm.
And so then, therefore, if you know it's going, water is going to be beneficial to you, and you need it for your healthy living,
Mm-hmm.
you need to just change your mindset about how you see the water,
Mm-hmm.
and not seeing it as in something being bland with no taste, but see it as
Yes.
something that's going to help keep me healthy and living a better life.
Yeah.
Miss Lynn,
And
what
we
you think
have
about that?
Yeah, and we have a comment out of Washington, D.C., and they're agreeing with what both of you have stated because they also said there's too much sugar in many electrolyte drinks. So if you're trying to get hydrated, why even go to the sugary drinks when you have this awesome Izumi water that will not only hydrate you or quench your thirst? Let me say that it will not only quench your thirst, but it will break the cellular wall to really hydrate your cells. And that's what we are missing. But it's done through the process of how they blend the water, like Lynn was saying, and that it has hydrogen in it.
Right.
And a lot of people, they say hydrogen, and they're like, why hydrogen? But Lynn eloquently explained it. So those of you that's just coming on, can you show us the Uzumi water again, or Uzumi?
It comes in a case of 30, one a day.
Okay.
Awesome.
Now I would like to transition
Mm-hmm.
into metaphysics.
Yes.
Um, I was telling Miss Lynn that I was introduced to metaphysics at 18, and it changed how I see things, how I operate. And I was telling her, and we were having that conversation where, metaphysics change your mindset and change your thought pattern, how you see things, and also quantum physics as well. But and so it's funny because it's a paradigm shift in your mindset, and so a lot of times you look at everything from a different perspective than most people. So then, therefore, if something bad happens to you, I don't look at it as woe is me. Is my question to myself is what I'm supposed to learn from this situation, and and so we were talking about when President Trump got elected 4 years ago. My social media page was so depressed and downtrodden because he had got elected, and I think with us we keep a positive mindset all the time, and we see it from a different perspective that it makes people uncomfortable because they want to wallow in the fear and negativity. And so I was like, if you have a relationship with your higher power, whoever you believe is your higher power. You and your higher power are co-creators of your life. That whoever is president should not make or break how your essence of your life is going to be, because that means that person has more power over your life than you and your creator.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said that, the they was mad at me, because I'm not going along with the narrative they want to create about how bad of a person he is and how it's gonna make it bad for us, all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that he's not doing things, but my thing is, how's it really gonna affect you unless you allow it to? Miss Lynn, what you think about that?
Yes, well, as we were speaking about that earlier, I had the same experience with so many of my students and clients, really just becoming so distraught about Trump becoming president. And I said, well, I said, everything happens for a reason.
Right.
And Trump's becoming president at this time is for the United States and the world to make a huge paradigm
Yeah,
shift,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
will move us into a consciousness or a mindset of more peace.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to be where he is,
Mm-hmm.
as the decisions he makes, the personality that he has, and the way that he chooses to govern this country has a profound effect, of course, on us as well as the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he goes about it appears as if it's good for these people and bad for these people. We many of us may not like what he's doing or how he's doing it. But the more something, if you notice, I'm choosing my words carefully because
Mm-hmm.
this is part of how we change our mindset is
Mm-hmm.
based on
Yes.
what we say.
Right.
We hear our own voices more than anyone else's voice. And so we continue to program ourselves by what we say.
Right.
So there are many people who see um, President Trump as someone who is evil and horrible for the country and for people on a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But if that were not present at this time, to the extent that he is doing some of the things he's doing, there would not be a moving, and I'm going to use the word ignite, Lotus. There would not be an ignition to have people say, you know what, we really do need to create something new, something different, so that it benefits the whole, not just this side or that side.
And can I piggyback off of that? I read a book that changed my life, and I tell my clients, I tell people who listen to the show to read this book as well. And it's called "Outwitting the Devil" by Napoleon Hill. And so it's pretty much saying that the devil is not a man with a red suit and a pitchfork. It's fear and negativity. So in this situation that we're in right now, it stems from when President Obama became president. And when he became president, the other race, had fear because they for so long they created a narrative of who we were.
Yes.
And so, and therefore, when he became president, that changed the narrative of what we can now truly believe what we can become.
Right.
And so that struck fear into them. So then, therefore, that fear caused them to go to the far left and select this person because he is so much different than what President Obama was. And so, then therefore, what happened was it made people understand. 'Cause I think we was in the false sense of reality that because he was elected president, that racism no longer exists because he became president. So when he became president, that racism ignited. I'm gonna use her word, ignited more, and that's why they made that far left thing. So now you're starting to see it more prevalent now. So like you said, if you look at from what am I supposed to learn from this, is that we have a lot of work to do because we're trying to sweep the whole racism and all that under the rug, and this here is going to bring it to the top and say we have to talk about this.
Yes.
We have to talk about this because if you see what he's doing and what they're doing around you, is basically it's what it is. What it is.
Yes, that's
I
true.
think we have to be very clear about where we allow our attention to to flow because if we're so focused on negative instead of working together,
Yeah.
where our attention goes, our energy flows. And
Absolutely.
that's why I would even venture to say that you have so much unrest in this country and you have so many people that are very unhealthy right now, deep in their body, because it's more than just about dollars and cents. This is a more of a metaphysical thing that we're talking about.
Oh,
We're not
absolutely.
just dealing with, oh, I don't like you because you're this color or because you're a Republican or what have you. It's greater than that. And
Right.
I think that's why it's so critically important that we do what you said earlier, Lynn. We have to choose our words wisely. We have to choose our thoughts wisely. And when we do have negative energy, we have to make a conscious choice
Yep.
to choose positive energy over
Over.
negative energy.
Yes, that's true. In actuality, because everything is energy, no matter what. And even under the microscope, what may appear to be solid is actually still mostly space than solid. And
Yeah.
so, because everything is energy, including thoughts, including words, light, and so forth, which moves very quickly, what we think is solid is energy moving at a slower rate, so it's more dense.
Right.
And to what you were both saying, because everything is energy, it is so important for us to learn how to master energy and
Yes.
understand that by mastering energy, we are able to literally create and have an experience in our lives that we choose to experience.
Yes.
One of the things is, as Kevin was talking about Obama, it's like we were, far to the left, and then Trump is in office, we're far to the right. But it's like, if you think about a pendulum swings
Mm-hmm.
all the way up here, and then when it comes back, the force brings it to the other side. And the pendulum continues to do that until it starts to slow down and it is in the middle and well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In a period of the pendulum swing. And again, as we choose to experience our lives in particular ways, what we say and what we think will allow us to then have experience our lives that way. Where
Right.
your intention is
Mm-hmm.
your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so many people, they have a good intention, they think, but then their attention goes elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Reason for that is because there have been so many experiences that we have had even from birth that we have come to believe are either a good or a bad thing because it's what we've wanted or what we've not wanted. The
Right.
reality is there is no such thing as good or bad energy. Energy just is.
Yep.
And
Yes.
no, it doesn't have a favorite side. It just is. So as we begin to understand that, then we can see, all right, I had experiences in my life I did not like.
Right.
However, those experiences have taught me something. And I just want to share real quick a story. When I was 5, I was molested by my granduncle, and molested and actually penetrated. And it was very traumatic, and I forgot about it. It literally left my mind. And when I did remember it, I experienced that entire event all over again, in every detail. But at the time, I was in self care, I was meditating, I was journaling, I was doing various exercises and tools and working energy so that I could transmute or change my energy from being that fearful little girl, was angry with all men and didn't want to have anything to do with them because they hurt you, into a process of 100% forgiving my uncle, and shifted not only from forgiving him, but now, even in telling the story, I give thanks to him. I'm so grateful for that experience because if I had never had that experience, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't have been able to help thousands of people transmute themselves and
Yes.
to shift and create the kind of experiences they want to have in their life.
Okay, so when you say stuff like that, I
Hmm.
get it. But
Yes.
people who may not be in tune with metaphysics like that, their first thought would be, how could you forgive him for what he has done?
Hmm.
So, can you
Hmm.
explain the process you did to go through that forgiveness? Because I know there's a lot of people who have gone through that,
Hmm.
male and female,
Hmm.
and that has kept them stuck at whatever age they were when that situation, that experience happened. So,
Hmm.
and so, can you talk through it? How you was able to allow yourself to give us a permission to to forgive him.
Yes. It started with meditation. And um, I learned how to meditate about 38 years ago. And it was through my meditation that the realization came up that I had had that experience. And obviously, it came up because I literally felt it all in meditation. His face came in front of me and his breath and everything. And when that happened, I just continued to meditate. I know it may sound trite, but I just continued to meditate. And the form of meditation I teach is a meditation of releasing. You don't try to be quiet or be still. you simply release and let go of the energy of all the experiences, the people, the circumstances, whatever it is, you let it go until you naturally move into silence. And so that's how I started, was to just clear the energy through some of the techniques I used. I also journaled throughout the day. I had, this was back in the 1980s. So this was before internet and cell phones and all of that. So I had a pad and pencil, and every day I carried it with me, and I would write thoughts that came up in reference to that situation. I would just write them out, no matter what it was I was thinking, because I didn't start off with, oh, thank you, dear uncle, for doing that. No, I started out with a whole lot of superlatives and cussing them out and screaming at them and, all of that. And so I would just write, and I would write, and I would write. Anytime it came up, if I was driving, I'd pull over and I'd start writing. So those are the two things I did to begin with. And then I actually did a technique which is called, again, it's a way of speaking, um, make it till you, fake it till you make it, right?
Yes.
So I would say things like, you son of a so and so, and blip, blap, de blap, why did you do that to me? And then I moved into, all right, so I'm going to forgive you because I have to. I'm going to forgive you because I know it's good for me. I'm going to forgive you, you son of a gun, you mother, and that's what I did. I did that process consistently until I actually started, just in saying, I forgive you, thank you, that sort of thing. I actually started moving into a genuine, again, with meditation and writing, a genuine place of thank you, thank you, because I had the realization. What came so strongly is that if that had never happened to me, I wouldn't have had the deep seated pain to my soul
Yes.
that overshadowed my life up to that point in time. And so I needed that experience to find and to seek relief. That's the best way to put it.
Right.
And so as I continued to seek and go through my process, um, I did move into a place that actually was peaceful. And then I moved into the real place of, wow, this is what has driven me to do the kind of work I do, because as I assist others, I assist myself. So it was meditation, it was journaling, it was saying all kinds of things, but always including gratitude and thankfulness.
Yes.
And I also then really began looking at what my thoughts were around the situation. So I went into silence for about 7 days. And when I went into silence, I didn't stop my life. I took off time from work at that point, at that time. I didn't have a family or husband or kids. And I would go to the store, I'd do the things I did, but I just wouldn't speak to anybody. I literally no communication. And that was interesting because so many people, like even cashiers behind the counter, would go, well, what's wrong with you? I'm just saying hello. You're not going to speak to me? It's like,
I was getting ready to say, you was the lady in the line, and I'd be like, hello, ma'am, how you doing today? Hope you having a good day. And you like,
nope, total silence. And I went through that experience because it was more important for me to start paying attention to how I was thinking
yes.
and what my
Thank you
experiences
for calling Manifest TV. Kevin speaking.
Yo,
up
what's
to
up? This
that.
y'all first time on the show on Mondays?
Say again, sir.
I said this y'all first time being on the show on Mondays?
No, sir.
I ain't know that.
This the
Say
wrong
it
show,
again.
sir. This the wrong show.
Say it again.
This the
Huh?
wrong show. Go ahead.
Actually, no, it's not the wrong show. He just didn't know that it's what he needed to hear at this moment.
Exactly. And he probably did need to hear it because you're talking about a myriad of things.
Mhm.
One thing that I got from what you were saying, being a person who's experienced a similar situation in my life when I was 6 years old. um, it's a purging
Yeah.
that one must do to help you get to the point where um, you can get to the forgiveness part. But that purging, that is something.
It's
And when
something.
you go through that,
Yeah.
sometimes you just cursing out loud for no reason at people, and not at people, but at that person, at the person who hurt you. And you know, this is something that has happened to people since the beginning of time. And the thing is that so many people hide it.
Right.
Uh, MJ Malcolm, he's a big YouTube celebrity, if you will, and he shared about his bout with being sexually molested from a person within his family, and unfortunately, we oftentimes see that, or it's the babysitter, or something like that, and to be able to come through it as eloquently over time as you did, it's it gives people hope. And I hear you say that you have clients and things like that. So, this is what I've learned over time for my clients. My story is my power. And that's what I feel from you. Your story is so powerful. Like Kevin couldn't even get it out. Okay, so how did you get to the forgiveness? How did you? So the forgiveness typically comes after the purging, is from what I'm getting from you. At least that's how you were able to.
And you know what? I did a spiritual, some spiritual thing maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I went to this house, and she had it in like three different rooms, and so it was a form of meditation. Now that I'm looking at it, and so in the beginning, she gave me a piece of paper that I had to like look at, and it had like seven different things, seven different sentences, like who do you, who are you holding anger towards? Is there anyone that you need to ask for forgiveness? So it was like seven different questions that I had to read over and meditate over those questions. When I was ready, I went to the next room, and I had to take off my shoes and everything, and I had to like sit, sit down and like in a prayer position and pretty much meditated. And as I meditated, the purging started to come. So things that I thought I had gotten over
Mhm.
started to come up. And so I remember back when I was in my early 20s, I had got my job of my life at Blue Cross, and this young lady tried to accuse me of sexual harassment. And I thought I had got past that, but I didn't. And so I purged it, that made me realize why I was the way I was towards women.
Mhm.
And so once I released that, it was emotional for me. Um, but once I did it, it allowed me to be different towards women now because I have released that. So I truly understand what you're talking about and
And
why.
that's why it's so critical. Like Kevin has shared this before, um, being trained with Ayala Van Zant. And Ayala Van Zant says something so powerful, is that you forgive people for you, not for them. And I think when we learn to do that, it takes us to a higher realm of being, because it frees us in
Right,
such a way that we can really walk on. And if we hear that person's name again, we're not swearing them out,
right,
but we're able to still be in our own wholeness.
right. Because
And I think
because
sometimes
if
it's
that person,
part of us,
if you that person's name come up or you think about that person and you still get angry, that means you have not let go. So that means you still got work to
Exactly.
do. So
Exactly.
now, so that's what I teach my clients too. So if you still angry, Then you have not forgive and let go, and you got to do it for yourself, not for that person, but for yourself.
And it does
So,
take time to do
mhm,
these things. It's what I call, and with anything that a person does where they want, where they're choosing, the word want, by the way, actually is a word that means struggle. And in your mind, subconsciously, wanting something means you don't
yes,
have it, so you keep pushing it away from you. Just
Mhm.
wanted to share that little bit. But when
exactly.
a
I
person
concur.
chooses to have an experience in their life, um, it's important for them to know that patience, persistence, and perseverance are what's going to help them get there. And even if you don't believe it at first, those horrible periods that we feel as you're purging and all of this is going on, I call them the growth period. You're in a huge growth process. It feels gross
Mhm.
and not so great, but it is a growth process. And if you stick with it, you'll actually be able to see the light on the other side of that tunnel. Because oftentimes you're in the thick of a really black tunnel and you're like, Lord, I can't go back, but I don't see any light up ahead either. Well, just keep
Yes.
going. The light is there, and that's transformation.
So, Lynn, I want to ask you this question because I know some people may have it on their mind as well. A lot of people talk about their chakras,
Hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes their chakras are blocked, sometimes because of pain or experiences that they've had or an inability to communicate certain things that has happened in their life.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? And how does that affect us?
Well, there are, first of all, I want to say there are seven main chakras, but there are actually more than seven chakras. Chakras are energy centers. And I think of the chakras as being like the software to our physical bodies. It might be the hardware. Okay. And so, when we get viruses and glitches in different programs in our software, things go awry. Okay. So the chakras can become blocked due to experiences. For example, the story I just shared about my uncle, it was a huge block in my fourth chakra, which is where love is. It was also a huge block in my second chakra, which is also where emotions and sexuality is.
Mhm.
And so those two chakras being blocked was affecting the seventh chakra, where I
Mhm.
was thinking I'm gonna do it to men before they do it to me. So I
Right,
was honestly one of those bitches that was like, you know,
right.
I'm doing things my way. If you don't like it, you can get out of my life, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So just from whatever our experiences are, the different chakras, which govern different aspects of our beingness, can clog up the works a little bit. It's like a little virus. And
Mhm.
that's why it's important to clear. When we use the word heal, what we're really talking about is clearing and then moving into a place of neutral. So I can share the story about my uncle and be completely neutral. It does not trigger me
Right,
in any way.
right.
Okay. And when we're able to do that with everything that we bring, that we're angry about or have grief around, by the way, most everything, there are really only two emotions. It's either fear or love, period.
Absolutely.
Everything else falls within those categories. And so as you go through the process of transforming, of clearing, of transcending these experiences that we do not uh, did not like or do not like, then we're able to really see more clearly how significant they've been in our life and how in many ways unconsciously, and I know a lot of people get upset when I say this, we've chosen those experiences
Mm-hmm.
because we specifically wanted to learn something, whatever that is. And from the experience with my uncle, it's not only me serving others, which is part of my soul passion is to serve others, but it also was the huge impetus for me to fully understand what
Yes.
love is for myself. because forgiveness is also about forgiving yourself.
Right. And I wanted to ask this question mainly for our viewers because when you say there are two emotions, fear and love, a
Mhm.
lot of times people say, nah, wait a minute, there's more emotions than that. But I think sometimes people really have to stop because I had to learn this. If you are in a relationship with someone, but you got to break up with them first because you don't want to be left, it's not that you don't love them and it's not hate. It's because you have a fear of being left. So I would urge you look into your past to see if there was some type of abandonment issue or if there was some type of hurt, like you said earlier. Oh, I'm gonna get you before you get me, or if you don't like it, take the highway. It's because you want to go ahead and break that cord. You want to be the first one to break it so you don't get hurt because you have a fear of being hurt or left. Is
Yes,
that what you were saying?
that's exactly what I'm saying. And what I mean by love and fear are the only two emotions. The feelings we have is everything else. It's the feeling
Right.
of grief. It's the feeling of anger. It's the feeling of guilt. It's the feeling of whatever it is. It's the feeling of happiness.
Yes.
Joy is a state of consciousness. State. Joy is a state of mindset. Because
Right.
even when things happen to you that you may not have consciously chosen, your spirit can still be in joy.
Joy.
It's a
Exactly.
state of being. So joy, peace, and love are states of being. And love is actually a true emotion. As like I said, is fear. Everything else is a feeling. And yes, I agree exactly with what you're saying, Lotus.
I just want to make sure I got it right.
You did. I could go on and on. I've been doing this a long time.
No. So let me ask you this. We always want to encourage people to make sure they find great mentors and great people to help serve their need of one walking in their purpose and healing themselves and helping themselves overcome. And Kevin says this all the time. People say to him, well, why do you have other life coaches on your show with you or empaths or what have you? And Kevin always conveys to them, I want people to be able to come and get what they need from the show. The show is bigger than Kevin, it's bigger than Lotus. It's really more about what we can do to help the universe, help the universe, help the universe, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So, with that being said, I wanted to ask you, how are you taking clients, and two, how can they reach out to you, and what third question, and what type of clients reach out to you?
Okay. Good question. So, since I've been working with Naturally Plus in this company, what I have done is actually combined what I do as a mentor with and in way of transformation and learning how to master energy with actually assisting people becoming more healthy with these products, and as well as referring them to people like Kevin and yourself to have the different perspectives and a broader range of what they need. So I've combined the two, and basically what I say is for people that are interested in earning additional income and also being financially healthy. Because before I became a minister, I was a financier. I actually was an insurance agent for a while and not only sold insurance, but did annuities. I was a banker in investment banking. I was a mortgage broker, commodities and securities. So I know a lot about finance. And I've also had my own businesses. Um, from corporations to a storefront, actually at Pier 39 in San Francisco. Did so I won't tell my age, but let's just say that I've had
9, y'all. She's 29.
I'm 29. No, well, I'll say I'm 39. I'll go 39.
Okay, okay, okay.
But
So,
Okay. All of that saying, I take anyone who feels that they resonate with me and I'm a good fit, because I have helped people across the board in various experiences, traumas that they've dealt with. But in particular, I really help people with grief, guilt, fear, and that can be in the way of relationships, in the way of finances, in the way of um, um, just even learning their health, all of that. So what I'm offering to people actually is through Naturally Plus, there is a business component that's associated with it. And so I'm working with people now who are looking not only for a mentor, but instead of paying me, they can actually work on earning income and elevating their lives in the way that they would like to, if they would like to use this as a way for them to earn additional income. And that can be, whether it's an extra 200 a month or literally 200,000 a month, that's up to them.
So you're really, I call it the 365 model, where you're not doing just 360. You're not just helping them with their health. You're not just giving them great water to drink that's going to penetrate those cells to make sure they hydrated. You're not just giving them something to think about on a metaphysic level. You're also telling them, look, I'm going to the 365, the next step, because I also want you to help get your finances straight. Because when you get your finances straight, it chops off such a huge level of stress in your life. And stress, as we all know, is some of the key components to causing heart attacks and strokes, and some of the reasons why we have high blood pressures and things of that nature. So you go beyond
Mm-hmm.
360 mark. You go that true 365. And that's awesome. That's amazing. What are
I,
your
I'm sorry, what's that?
I was asking Kevin what did he think about that? That because that's powerful.
It is. It's just the complete holistic realm, the whole mind, body, spirit, and financial. So she's trying to help everyone holistically in all levels, at all avenues, because they all play a part in how you see your life and how you feel about yourself. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea. That's great, and I will be in touch. I will tell you that.
Yeah,
Okay,
we got to
great.
have her back on the show. But when we do our financials segment, when we talk about our credit, we got to bring her back. What you think, Kev?
Yes, ma'am.
Investment banker, mortgage. Oh my God, I'm looking to learn so much more from you, because and see, that's why it's so important for us to be so well rounded and be so well connected with one another, because we never know what skills that God has within us that we can share with other people. So that's awesome. So I think that's a yes. I think she's saying yes, she'll come back.
Yeah, we have to have her come back. But
Awesome.
how I feel about this too is, I'm all about, even though you selected this person, selected her, I just feel it happened in divine order,
Yes. Yes.
because of where, especially for me, where I'm at right now. I'm looking to elevate, and I'm always looking. So I read a book about finances and trying to be wealthy. And you gotta have seven streams of income. And
Yes.
so I'm always looking for another stream of income that's in alignment
Mhm.
with who I am and what I do, so it won't feel forced. And so, when she was talking about the water and all that kind of stuff, that instantly caught my attention. Plus the fact, like I was telling her, before the show started, was she's out in California. California speaks to me, how
Yes.
it speaks to me, but I also know that I have work to do in Atlanta. But if I can start having to connect in California, where I can attract people out that way, where I can go out there and just do some work and then come back, I would love to do that as well too. So, just to meet her and have with all the energy that she has, it was just in divine order for me.
Who knows? He might be able to go to Cali for the spin tour. He's going to be starting the
Well,
spin tour. So he may come out there and work you out.
Cali is on my radar.
All right. Well, come on out. Come on out. Love to have you.
So before we get ready to go, I want to give you the opportunity to give your final parting shot. So it could be anything you want, your spirit wants you to tell us. So the floor is yours.
All right. So, okay. I'm going to actually thank you, Kevin and Lotus, for this opportunity. It's just really a huge blessing. And so right now I'm going to channel what um, what the audience on a whole needs to hear at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is really is for everyone to seek your heart, connect with your heart, connect with what's there. Every single person, you know what your purpose is, and you know why you're here. You may have forgotten, or maybe it's been programmed or conditioned out of you, but you know what it is. Now is the time for you to make the choice to discover what that is for you. And so that means to really um, be in a place of full, I'm going to use the word now, selfishness. And
Mm-hmm.
selfishness from the perspective that you are first making sure that you are taking care of yourself to be that whole person. The person then that can attract and can experience what you're here to do. So just, take a moment to meditate. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself physically in terms of exercise and supplements. Make sure that you pay attention to all of the feelings that you have and how those feelings are taking you to a greater place. And pay attention to what you're thinking. And you can always know what you're thinking by what's coming out of your mouth. So be in that place of your own discovery of true self purpose. In that way, you will be selfless in whatever you do in helping the world community. That's
Wow.
it.
Lotus,
Woo!
what's your
All I
I'll
have to
let you
say
follow
is
behind that.
that's all I have to say because um, you nailed it, and it spoke directly to me. It really resonated with me, and I'm just happy that we had you here and want to have you back again. And those of you that like what Lynn is saying, go ahead and put a 2 down below. And if you haven't started a watch party, make sure you start a watch party because Kevin and I are here every Monday at 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Health and Wellness Architect Show, giving you the best that we've got to help you ignite and take flight.
Um, what I like to say is that she took my breath away on that one because
Yep.
I think especially with people like the three of us, um, we're empaths to a certain extent. We also here to be we very selfless because we out to here to nurture everybody, be their best selves, and that we focus on everybody else so much that we gotta learn how to be
Yeah.
selfish and be okay with being selfish because if we don't be take the time to be selfish and take care of us, then we can't fully help the community like we supposed to. So that sometimes you need to hear that over again because you get so caught up in trying to do so much for the community that you got to do something for yourself first. So I would thank you for those words. Thank you for continuing to watch the show. If you want to donate to the cause so we continue having great guests like Miss Lynne, you can reach out to me and Lotus, and we'll give you the information on how you can donate to the show. And we greatly appreciate all the viewers. all the text messages that we receive, a lot of inbox messages of, how it has affected them. So we know we are doing our life's work and we are blessing people with that. So I just want to be in gratitude and say thank you. Thank you to Miss Lynn for being a great guest.
Thank you both for having me on. This has been such a joy.
So
Uh,
how can they
but
reach you? How can they reach you if they want to become a part of the program that you're in? How can they reach you?
they can reach me by going to Lynne, and it's Lynnne, the number 4, N like Nancy, P like Paul, USA
Mhm.
at gmail.com.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
My E fell off somewhere, but
That's
you guys
okay.
got it. So
That's
make
all
sure
right.
you guys you get that information and connect with her. You will be so happy that you did.
so I'm gonna put it out there. We're gonna have her back on in April,
Oh,
Yes.
all right. We'll set the date.
and we'll set the date because I want you to be. It's gonna be Black Girl Magic. It's gonna be you two doing the
Yes.
show. I'm just gonna be here learning because you're gonna talk about financial wellness, credit, and all the stuff that you could offer us too, Lynn. So we could, take 2020 to a whole nother level.
That's it.
Don't let him tell you that he gonna hit us with some hard questions because he gonna make our brain smoke.
I have to do some studying and research. It's been a few years since I've been in finances, but I will do my best.
All right. We thank you guys again so much. And so we'll see you next week on the Wellness Architect Show. Be great, be authentic, and we are out. Peace.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.